Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our coverage today in the Brian Kohberger case. And something happened last night that was really weird. And I'm curious to get your input on it. We were doing a live stream as we do most nights and talk about different subjects. We are specifically just going through different information about Brian Kohberger. While we happened to be like live on the air, it was breaking news on News Nation that Cuomo had a new story that was coming about the Brian Kohberger case. And then when he shared the story, the big fat exclusive news was that they were searching in Pennsylvania counties to see if he's involved in any cold cases, which is not breaking or exclusive news. And so I thought, well, this could mean like maybe one of two things. It means one, Brian Kohberger is, like linked to a crime and it was about to be let out that they did find a previous crime that he was attached to in Pennsylvania. Or number two, they're just running out of headlines. And so they're just like making things seem exclusive that aren't really big news stories to begin with. And then, so those are my two buckets of thinking. But then I go on Jennifer Coffendorfer's Twitter page and she says this, and it makes me think even deeper about what was happening. She says, for those who are true crimers, sleuths, educated on the Idaho 4 case, and vehemently want justice for the victims, this message is for you. Last night, the initial news was muted. I don't know why, but in hindsight, it was for the best. So she says, I'm awaiting the preliminary hearing, but I'm hoping for a grand jury. Hashtag Brian Kohberger. That little line in there, by the way, she was the guest on Cuomo talking about what was going on with the recent information. The initial news was muted. And so somebody down in the replies wrote this. Are you saying that what was planned to be reported by News Nation last night was changed at the last minute to a blanket story about him being looked at? Yeah, exactly kind of the thought that I was having too. So the third option of what potentially took place last night was there really is some breaking news story out there floating around about Brian Kohberger. As it got time to go to production, either the sources pulled back on what was supposed to be said, or they, for whatever reason, had some kind of conversation with lawyers or whatever and said, hey, we really don't think you need to run with this story. It could jeopardize some things. So I'd love to get your feedback on what you think took place. Obviously, they went and they did a segment and it was great. It was talking about like just potential previous crimes that had taken place. And certainly all the headlines today are running like Daily Mail. Is Idaho murder suspect a serial killer? Cops are reviewing cold case files in Pennsylvania. And I'll show you guys, like I even messaged Jennifer Coffendorfer last night, like right here, that article from the New York Post, Pennsylvania cold cases under review for possible links. I sent it to Sleuthy Goosey. I'll show you it right here. Pennsylvania cold cases. And she was like, right, didn't they run this clip like since February 7th when I sent it to her? So I said, to Sleuthy Goosey last night, I sent her the news article while we were live on the air. I'm texting Sleuthy Goosey about this, and then I send this other thing I found about Brian Kohberger, and she's like, interesting. Then she responds with the very same thing, like, hey, didn't we already know this on February 7th? Yeah, right. That's exactly what I'm saying. And so she's just saying, I'm confused. They made it sound like Jennifer is the one who brought this info. I'm like super weird. So I don't know what's going on, but there certainly was a miscommunication in the Brian Kohberger sort of like etho world last night that I'd like to be able to get down to the bottom of. And if we just scroll on over to News Nation, I'll just show you guys like, how police investigate Brian Kohberger's potential involvements. And then if you go look at
America.
Nation stories, let's just go. This morning, the news story on the News Nation morning show: investigators looking at Kohberger's potential involvement in other crimes. So they had at least 3 stories since last night run about that. I mean, they had the one that had Cuomo on there. They had Dan Abrams' show last night, how police are investigating his involvement in other crimes. And then this one, sources, police are investigating Kohberger and other homicides. So in less than 24 hours, they've chosen to run 3 stories talking about this exact
But first,
issue.
to begin tonight,
I'm curious, guys, what you think is actually going on in this case. Do you think there's a situation where there's just massive confusion out there and they're running an old story? Do you think they're running an old story because they're out of news stories? Or do you think that there's actually some news stories out there that are about Brian Kohberger that need to be talked about, but for whatever reason, either due to lawyers or what, they've made a decision to sort of silence those that are needing to talk about this. So I'd love to hear your perspective. You guys let me know what you think. I'll let you know after you let me know what you think, what I think. And hopefully there's some more information that's going to be coming out about this too, because I want to get down to the bottom of it. I want to know what's actually going on. And I do think it serves sort of this bigger purpose or this bigger question, like, is Brian Kohberger actually involved in other potential crimes? And I think I showed you guys the map before, but I'll show you the map again. If you just go to maps.google.com, you type in like DeSales University, which is where he went to school at. And I thought, like, well, let's just see how close New Jersey is. So if you go right up here, like, let's say there's Pennsylvania, New Jersey line. Let's just do a directions from DeSales University. It's literally 12 miles from DeSales University to New Jersey. I mean, if we looked at like 11, let's do 1122 King Road in Moscow, and then we'll type in from Washington State University. From Washington State University to 1122 King Road in Moscow, it's 8.4 miles. So it's 12 miles to New Jersey from Pennsylvania, from DeSales University. It's 8.5 miles from Washington State University to Moscow, Idaho, 1122 King Road. If I was an investigator trying to figure out if Brian Kohberger had committed any previous crimes, I can guarantee you one thing. I would be looking in the state of New Jersey, because I think there's a potential pattern that existed. Maybe he thought he could get away with it if he crossed the state boundary, the state line. So very interesting, and certainly worth talking about and thinking about as well. And I'd love to know your thoughts. Please let me know what you think down there in the comments section. Thank you guys so much for taking a couple of minutes to watch this video. I know it was like kind of crazy trying to piece together what's going on. We're totally crowdfunded. If you're interested in helping us out, you can support through PayPal, which is Tyler Feller, CashApp, which is $ Tyler Feller 22, or Venmo, which is at Tyler-Feller. I'm super excited about all of the people that are part of our membership program. It allows you to join our private Facebook group. So if you're interested, hit the join button and join our membership program as well. And we'll be back.